Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on a day when gratitude is our theme. I want to express my gratitude for you showing up with me. This is as important to me as it is to you. Thank you for typing in where you're calling in from or viewing in from. It's fun to see on the chat, and thank you for your lovely comments. It means a lot to me, and it's fun to inspire other people as well. So, since this virus thing is going on, we've been hearing instructions from World Health Organizations and local nutritionists to say that vitamins A and D are helpful, but nobody ever talks about vitamin G, which I would call vitamin gratitude. So today I want to explore with you the power of gratitude as a consciousness shifter and a healer. There was a Zen monk, a female Zen monk named Sono, and she had one prescription for everyone who came to her with a question. Somebody would say, well, my business is struggling. What should I do? And her answer was, thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Someone else would come and say, my marriage is in trouble. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. My health is hurting. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. What she was doing was she was, in her own quiet way, shifting people from complaint and resistance to gratitude, because complaint and resistance only exacerbate problems, and gratitude heals problems. A Course in Miracles tells us that our grievances are what hide the light in the world, the light of the world from shining forth from us. Jesus said in his own way, he said, you are the light of the world, do not cover the light with a basket or a bushel. And so what we want to do is begin to peel away grievances and let our light shine forth. You cannot be in grievance and in light at the same time. It's one or the other. You just have to make a choice. I heard about a man who had a small airplane crash. As he was landing his small craft at a little airport, he miscalculated and he ran into some utility wires and the plane crashed. And he ended up in the hospital paralyzed, except for his little finger. And he laid in bed for quite a while, depressed and angry and irritated that he had such a plight. And then he realized that, well, if I can move my little finger, let me try to do something with that. So he used his little finger to communicate with his family and visitors. This meant yes, that meant no. And then they got him a little alphabet board and he would point to letters. And eventually he started to be grateful that he could at least move his little finger. And he thanked God that he had some way to communicate. Well, what happened was, as he thanked God and appreciated his little finger moving, he got used to the next finger and the next and the next. And then he could move his hand. And he just, thank you, God, for moving my hand. Thank you, God. I'm so glad I can move my hand. I can move my hand. Thank you. And the more he thanked God for his blessing, even though it was just a minor part of his body, the more the blessing expanded. He could move his arm, and eventually he was restored to total health. And his turnaround was when he moved from resistance or complaint to gratitude. So whatever you focus on, you get more of. I heard it said that if 98% of your life is working and 2% of your life is not working, and you give 100% of your attention to the 2% that's not working, in that moment, in your experience, 100% of your life is not working because you're putting all of your attention on what isn't working. If, on the other hand, 98% of your life is not working and 2% is working, if you put 100% of your attention on 2% that is, in that moment, 100% of your life is working. So a lot of this issue that's going on now is about where we put our focus. If you watch the news and participate in downful conversations, then you're putting 100% of your attention on that, and you're getting more and more of that. But if you listen to this broadcast and other good news events, then you start to grow good news. Now, I had a goddaughter many years ago, a lovely little girl, and I would take her out on Saturday afternoons. We'd go to the movies in the mall, and I'd bring her back to her house. And one day during the previous week, her family had moved. And so at the end of our little outing, I took her back to a new house, and they had moved to a very rural area on Maui. And unfortunately, they had no money. So I was distraught to see that they were now living in an old, broken down school bus. You can imagine how my heart sank to see this little girl I loved in this horrid place. So she said, "Let me show you around." So she took me by the hand and she said, "Do you want to see my room?" "Sure." And they had built like a little thing on top of the bus. That was her room. And I looked around her room, and the only nice thing she had in the room was it was kind of a colorful tapestry on the wall. And I said to her, "How do you like your room?" And she says, "I love my wall." And I thought it was so cool that she took the one thing that was nice about that space and she focused in on it. So that was a great lesson for me. I love my wall. It was just one portion of her life, but that was the thing she was excited about. What a teacher she was. Now, I use the same principle when coaching because lots of folks come to me and they say, "I'm struggling with money and my bank account is low, or I lost my job, or I'm on part-time now, and I'm not feeling prosperous." So let's do this. So we take out a piece of paper, or if it's in a seminar, I'll put it on a whiteboard. So, okay, now let's make a pie and make a circle, and we put little pie pieces on it. And I say, "Tell me, what ways in your life are you prosperous besides money?" "Oh, okay. Well, I have a lovely family, right? Family. My health is pretty good. Health. I have a spiritual path. I like music." And so we insert into each pie slice some way in which they feel prosperous. And by the time we come around to the money slice, we've filled in the prosperity pie with a huge volume of prosperity. And I say, "How do you feel now?" The person says, "I feel pretty good." "Do you feel prosperous?" "Oh, yes." And so what I point out is that money is just one form of prosperity, but there are many. So if you're looking at your bank account and it's small and you're saying, "I'm not prosperous," you're really, you're like looking at a car that has a small dent on it, and your eyes are up to the dent like that. All you see is the dent. When meanwhile, if you step back, you see a whole beautiful car that's working just beautifully, and the dent is practically invisible because you've expanded your perspective. So at a time when there's a lot of challenge on the planet, perhaps we know people who are hurting and people who've passed on, and this can certainly be daunting as you focus in on it. What we need to do is step back to big picture and focus on where well-being actually lives. And the truth is that well-being is far, 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 far more predominant than what's going wrong. And in the big picture of your life and the universe, what's happening now is just a temporary season. Everything has a season that we're going through. We will come out on the other side. Most of us are healthy and happy. Most of us have beautiful families. Most of us has some nature to look at. We have this beautiful technology where we can connect. We got a response on our chat yesterday from somebody who was tuning in from Saudi Arabia. How cool is that? We welcome you. So we have this amazing blessing where we can connect across the miles, even though our bodies are separate. How much of an experience of well-being is that? I mean, we are really well-being abounds. And Abraham says that, if something is going wrong, it's just the tiniest blip on the screen of all that is. So we want to keep our head in all that is rather than all that isn't. Now, blessing what you have creates more. That's the deal right there. When you start to bless the good in your life, then you open the door to more. If you resist or complain about what's in your life, you close the door to more. So be grateful for what you have, before asking for more. Because if you're not grateful for what you have and you ask for more, you're either not going to get it or you're not going to enjoy it, because your consciousness is not a match to gratitude and expansion. Your consciousness is a match to contraction and complaint. And when you're grateful, that's a healing energy. And some people say that gratitude is the highest vibration of prayer. That you may not be religious or consider yourself spiritual, but if you're grateful, you're praying. Because what is prayer? But prayer is connecting with God, connecting with the energy of God. And when you're grateful, you're very, very close to God, because God is love, and when you're grateful, you feel love. So even if you don't have a prayer practice, just practicing being grateful is the highest prayer, and it connects you with God. Now, there's one more piece to it that I want to share, and that's that I had a lovely teacher. Her name was Hilda Charlton. She was a mystic teacher, and she would lead these meditations. And very often at the end of the guided meditation, she would end with a prayer of gratitude, ask us to be grateful. She said, well, be grateful for your health and your families and your friends. And she said, be grateful to me as her teacher. And she would say, I don't need your gratitude, but you need to express it. So she wasn't asking us to be grateful to her because she was selfish or egotistical, but she was guiding us in a spiritual exercise to bring forth the best in us so we could have the benefit of the meditation and the healing. And I talked about Tony Robbins the other day. Tony Robbins has a really cool marriage healer. And people come to him and say, well, marriage is on the rocks. And you say, well, he says, do this. I think he calls it a 90-day marriage challenge, but you could make it 30 or 60 days. That would work just fine. He says, for the next 90 days, put your complaints about your partner in abeyance and focus only on who you love, about what you love about them and who they are, and really try to recapture why you decided to get with them in the first place. So it's an exercise to focus on what's working and what's not. And so most people, after 30 or 60 or 90 days of doing this, will come back and say, I decided I really do love my partner and I really appreciate them. And I was basically focusing on what wasn't working, which made our marriage work less. But when I focus on what is working, it makes my marriage work more. Now, you don't have to be married to do this. You can do it with a friend or a family member or the planet. How about thanking the government for their efforts to heal this? How about thanking the medical workers? How about thanking transportation workers? How about thanking, how about thanking yourself? How about thanking yourself for coming onto the planet at a time of severe challenge when you would dig in and find your source with a capital S and make a difference in your life and your planet and take this adversity and shift it into a positive healing energy. So let's just take a final moment here to be grateful that we have chosen to be together during this time. We chose to dive into a planet at a very unusual time, and we've chose to take on this challenge only for the purpose of healing it. And the healing that we generate through taking the darkness and working into the light is so much more powerful than if we try to light a light amidst greater light. So you are now entrusted with being a lamp holder, as I am. That's where we're getting together each day. That's why you're doing your spiritual practice. That's why you're praying. You and I are lamp holders at a very crucial time on this planet. And I am grateful for this opportunity because I'm building spiritual muscles that I never had before. I'm in prayer and service and connection that I find deeply rewarding. I'm producing more books and more writings and more videos because this is a time for healing that I am doing the best to work with in my own way, as I know you are. So I invite you to be grateful for a fabulous day today, wherever you are. I got an email from my friend in Virginia. She said, I can see the mountains for the first time in a long time. Grateful to seeing the mountains. So I'm grateful to seeing you. Thank you for being grateful to seeing me. I wish you the most grateful day of your life. We'll connect again tomorrow and carry on. Love you lots.